me? Yes. Let's begin. So basically, I'm going to talk about my personal journey in AI and XR in the past few years. I'm going to showcase some tools, but this lecture is going to be through the lens of myself, a solo indie developer. So before we begin, warning, this is a really fast-paced talk. I'm a neurodivergent. It's kind of fit neurodivergent, TikTok, Reels, Shorts, whatever. I have over 200 slides to go in the next 20 minutes, which means 6 seconds per slides. If it's too fast, don't worry, we can talk later. And also, there's going to be a link at the end. I also put up the slides on online, and if you want to scan this, you can have the slides. Okay, very funny. No worry, there's going to be a real QR code at the end. There's 3 similar lectures going on at the same time about AI and XR. 2 of them are game-related in the entire event. So let's begin. Who am I? I'm an indie game developer, as I said. I've been making games for about 27 years now. I've done multiple genres for multiple platforms. I usually work alone in my home, in my pajamas. I led a company of 20 people at some time, but now I'm alone. I'm focusing on narrative, VR, MR, XR, everything like that. My company is called Corbomite Games. I used to have another company called Adventure Mob, which got merged into this one at some point. I have too many hobbies because ADHD. I'm an artist, a maker. I shoot fireworks, and I used to go to Burning Man at some point. What don't I have is money. Yet, maybe one day. And spoiler, like I said, this talk isn't really about AI or XR. It's about humans, it's about emotions, and I'm going to give you also some tools so you don't leave this talk empty-handed. So it all started in 2017. I was working on this game called Bolt Riley, a reggae adventure game. It was an epic fail. Even though it successfully fundraised on Kickstarter $30,000, which I did by myself after having developed this game for a few years. I got like nice reviews, all these like articles in papers. I even won an award. They gave me like this big check for credits that I never used. And then I launched on Steam, and the numbers are like $2,000. That's, all the money this game made. I'm like, got me a bit depressed. And like for a few years, I did not make any games at all. And then like this thing called COVID happened, you know about it, right? And then that's where I rediscovered VR. I was like playing with VR ever since it came out. I was one of the early Kickstarter backers, but like social VR got me like really excited, especially Altspace VR and BRC VR. I did all the like Burning Man stuff online. And then I became a VR freelancer. I started doing jobs that are not game related, mostly in Unity. And then it happened. 3 years ago, the 2023 Gen AI revolution, and it started getting me going. I started getting obsessed with, started using all these tools. I started using it for everything. I made like a bunch of images of myself, obviously. I trained LoRa's. I don't know if any of you knows even what that is, or even, I don't know if it's even relevant today with today's tools. I wasn't perfect back then. It's getting better. By the way, there's some slides in this talk that are AI generated. I don't know if you noticed. Some are not. Let me see if you can tell which ones are generated and not. Like jokes, I like jokes. I don't know if you get this pun. It's stop, hammer time. How do I use Gen AI to make games? That's why we're all here, right? So let's first ask, what do you need to make a game? So you need a concept, right? You need to design the game. You need code, you need art, you need sounds, you need marketing, and you need luck. I currently don't know any AI methods to generate luck, so I use something I invented called the brachistochrone method, TM, or in short, TBM, TM. what? So the brachistochrone is a physics problem that defines the least amount of energy and the shortest path to get between. I didn't come here to learn math. So basically, it's achieving your goals to the best of your abilities in the least amount of time and energy. So we all know games. We all know games cost a lot. I mean, some games cost a lot, or it used to be like games would cost a lot. They require skills. You need to hire people. Unless you're like amazing, you know. And AI does a lot. AI does a lot for me. And I remind you, this talk isn't really about AI XR. It's about my personal journey through AI and XR, because that's the only lens I can give you. But don't worry, I'm gonna give you some tools to work with. So let's do a case study. Remember that reggae adventure game I told you about? So 2 years ago, I was playing around with image generators. So I tried to do a 2D point-and-click concept or adventures game. I took this game ahead, Bolt Riley. It was like an epic failure. Back then, I need to hire artists and programmers and make backgrounds, and it cost me about $50,000 to make. And then in 2023, I can just generate images and backgrounds and more backgrounds and more backgrounds and more backgrounds and more backgrounds, and it was all for free. And it took minutes and not months. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And like the quality is really good. And then 20 months ago, I started to try new things. I said, let's make a whole new game. I had this idea about like a romantic comedy set in New York, and it's going to be a JRPG, so I generated a bunch of characters. There's a video, I'm going to skip it because I have a lot to talk about. And then 18 months ago, I said, okay, let's try even something more new. And I used ChatGPT to ask it for like a concept. Doesn't really matter because you can ask for whatever you want nowadays. I wanted to do a point-and-click adventure game, and an hour later I had a story about a neurodivergent point-and-click adventure game about a detective, and it gave me the character description. And if you've been in this space, this is kind of like old news. It's like, 2 years ago, we've done that. So I used ChatGPT, I used Stable Diffusion. I made like a bunch of backgrounds. I made her office. I made her character design. I put them all together in this very nice looking for back then thing. And I'm saying, okay, maybe I'm going to do this. So in 2023, that's the tools I used to use. ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion were all the rage back then. And they were free, of course. So then, 16 months ago, there was another game I did called O-Ship, which is a co-op space escape room. And I decided to make a sequel for that. So I started messing around with logos. That's around the time where fonts and text started to be good in AI generation images. So I played around with this. And 15 months ago, I made like the backgrounds for the ship. But then I said, XR, right? I don't want to do just regular flat 2D stuff. So let's see if this video works. I made an AI conversation in XR where there's no sound. Okay, try and set up the sound for the next slide.
Do you remember anything?
Oh, there we go.
Captain?
So this is a Ready Player Me avatar. This is all in 3D.
That's the ship's engineer.
And it's all AI generated, and then I put it in mixed reality. I took a similar concept, and
everything you see here was generated using AI. The background environment, me and my crewmates' avatars, our conversation and voices, including our lip sync movements. I'm hoping you're enjoying the lecture. We'll be...
Okay. So I used Stable Diffusion back then. I used FSpy to make the 3D depth thing. There's better tools nowadays. I used Meta's voice SDK for this. ChatGPT was the backend tool that I used for communications. And I used Ready Player Me for the avatars. And again, for free. that's amazing. So 12 months ago, which is exactly after I came back from AW in Vienna, I participated in this incubator, and I made this game concept called Where Are My Glasses? It's a film about neurodivergency. I had all the concept artists, all the concept art for the various characters, the boss, and it was supposed to be in mixed reality, and it was supposed to talk to him similar to how I did that prototype. And you have your friends that you hang out with, and then you go into this like dramatic moment, and it was supposed to all be like particles in virtual reality. So I used Flux, which was the model that I used, and I started using Comfy UI a lot for the stuff. And then a month later, I started playing with video generations, which is the latest amazing technology that came back then. I played with some images of myself that I was trying to lip syncing, and then a month later, I just got bored for a bit with Gen AI. Everybody was doing all the same Ghibli, stuff. And then I started traveling around the world to a bunch of events and conferences. I went to Reboot Develop, and I went to England, and I came back home, and I decided the world needs a bit more love, and this is not start as an XR project, but it's going to be an XR project soon. This is a game that was done with Firebase Studios, and I did not write a single line of code, and it has front-end, back-end, user management system, scoring, ads, everything you need in a game. I did it in about a week. This would have taken me, 6 months a year ago. And all the game development was just done with vibe coding. And I think that's probably where the world is going to in this point of time. So 5 months ago, did some more traveling. I was invited to the Meta Horizon World Creator Academy in New York, where they taught all of us how to use I also did some improv on stage. They taught us some tools to use AI generations within their platform. Unfortunately, Horizon Worlds only works in the United States with their AI, so outside of the United States, you kind of need to work around some stuff. So 3 months ago, I was in Japan. I had some nice ramen. It was really nice. And then 2 months ago, I came back. And there was this Horizon World competition. And because Horizon World is not available in my country, I decided to take this into a game. I made this game called You Cannot Play This Game. I put it up on the Horizon Meta Store, and I told my friends, some of them are here in the audience, hey, please play this game. And of course, World is unavailable. I don't know if European people have experienced that in the past, but in my country, it's still not available. So about a month ago, I participated in this hackathon by the Goethe Institute that they brought a bunch of European people over, and we all made a game in 24 hours called Cosmic Coffee Chaos. Everything you see on screen almost was done with AI tools. I think we used the Mesh AI for this one. And then we put them into Horizon Worlds. And then we realized it doesn't work in our country, so we moved to Unity. And then we made a nice video trailer.
Coffee, the universal language of focus, except for our hero, who, ironically, has none. One simple mission.
Can you get me a coffee?
Seems easy, right? Well, you'd think so. Until the lights flicker, the pet glows, and suddenly we're having an emotional moment with a plant. The menu? Impossible to read. The noise? A full opera of distraction. But you are trying your best. Oh, look, a message. And now you're playing with a pet. Of course you are.
One double cosmic latte with... Shoot! I don't remember what they wanted.
Tragic. Predictable. Beautifully on brand. If you can't fight it, embrace the chaos. Cosmic Coffee Chaos coming soon.
I don't know how many of you have been to hackathons, but hackathons are very crazy, and I want you to guess how much time it took us to make this trailer. We did it in the last hour of the hackathon. That's it, from beginning to end of this trailer, only 1 hour, and I think it's kind of amazing, especially if, like, you know, a year ago I couldn't even make like a slide with my programmer art. Now I can make these things. And 3 days later, after the hackathon, there was another hackathon going on. So I asked like 2 people from this hackathon, hey, can you join me to another hackathon? And in about 2 hours, I did this app that's called Thumb Talk. It's basically you use your thumb and micro gestures to send Morse code over in XR. We did it like in about 24 hours. Actual work on it was about 2 hours. And as I said, it's a Morse code sending app with your thumb. Oh, I didn't get the slide. This was actually no, wait, I do have the slide. This was actually a finalist in the XRCC competition. So there were like 80 other or like 100 other nominees and like 16 finalists. This was one of them. 2 hours of work for like something that got to be a finalist, and I think this is like a very nice achievement. Also did some work on another world, and finally we get to today. Or I mean, 2 weeks ago, because I had to make the slides 2 weeks ago. So where am I in this journey? And what tools do we use? Because I promised you there's going to be some tools in this talk. So let's talk about what I think AI currently can do very well. And I'm talking about like today, because like in 2 days, I don't know, there's going to be another new tool. So what is it good for? Concept and designs. Obviously, if it really, really helps with the blank page problem. You say, oh, what am I working on? Just ask AI. You can do research and market analysis really easily. It has all the information, and you can also train it or bring sources for other information. Tools I use, you know, obviously all the LLMs are good, and some of them are good for some stuff. You know, LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, you know, Gemini, more Perplexity, all this stuff. NotebookLM has been a really good resource recently. It's really good for cheap asset creation. For visuals, specifically 2D visuals, all these tools that I used last year, I don't use any of them anymore. Now I kind of moved to new tools. Nano Banana is pretty cool. I used to use Flux, but I think ever since Nano Banana came, I'm using that more. Some people use Midjourney. I use Midjourney sometimes. ChatGPT, you can also do images in it built in. I use Raphael a bit, and there's like tons of other image generating tools. For voices, the Meta Voice SDK is currently free. I don't know, they're like phasing out, they're moving, so you need to check out that one. 11 Labs is really good with that, the ones we used in our trailers. It's not free, but you can use it for a bit you get credits. Like most of these AI stuff, you can get credits to use it for free for a while. For 3D models and scenes, Hanuman 3D is open source and free. You can run it locally on your computer. Meshi AI is good. And Hyper 3D is good. Some of these tools, the problems with them is that they give you too many polygons, especially in XR where you need things to be very optimized. So you need to have another pipeline optimizing it, like either using Blender or using other AI tools to lower the count of polygons and then match the textures and stuff. So this is a bit tricky. So we're not there yet, but we're getting very close there. For 3 characters, I personally used Ready Player Me, but now we can also use the other AI generating tools, you can do humanoid, then rig them, animate them in Mixamo. Unity has their own AI generating tools, and like I said, Meta Horizon has them, but they're limited to the United States right now. For NPCs, I used to use InWorld. That company doesn't exist anymore. I used LLMs and Voice SDK at some point. But in recent months, I've been playing a lot with the Horizon World NPC, which I think they've done a really good job in adapting their NPCs there. music and sound, Udio and Suno are leaders in music. There's an open source tool called Audio, which I use a lot. I give it a video, it just gives you all the sounds you need, so you can take a screen capture, like a video capture of your game or app, give it, and it gives you all the audio cues you need, and then just put it back in there. For videos, I'm currently using VO3, but there's many other tools. There's like Kling, and there's like so many other tools. But like VO3 is currently the tool I am using. For 2D animations, we haven't really solved that problem yet. There are some MCPs, I'm going to talk about MCPs in a second, that can connect to 2D animation software, and then you can use your LLM to talk to these 2D animation softwares and make animations with 2D. Which brings me to codes and also agents, which is the latest development in AI. Basically, an agent can talk to your LLM. You tell your LLM, hey, I need move this in HTML. When we used to talk to artists, say, hey, I need this moved like 1 pixel right, and then you'd spend like 20 minutes looking in the CSS, where's that pixel, and then you move, and then it moves all the way there. Now we can tell an LLM to do that, and then it moves it all the way there, and you need to tell it to go back. So these are agents. Specifically, there's a protocol called MCP that the agents talk to your various tools like Unity. Unity has their own AI suite right now with a bunch of tools. I kind of have not used Unity as much in the past year, so it was accumulating dust, but now with the new AI tools and like MCP servers that I can connect there, it's becoming even more useful. As before, like I said, Horizon World has their own set of tools, but only in the United States. I used Firebase Studios to make some of those games, including the like a WebXR game that I made between making this presentation and coming here. I also use Cursor as an IDE. There's like a chat here that you talk to the AI, and regular VS Code in the other portion of the screen. And there's like several other IDEs that look like this that I've been playing with the last 2 weeks. I'm going to mention them in a second. This is a game I've been working for a client. He wanted to have like this puzzle game, like a jigsaw puzzle. And again, I've made this game in about like 2-3 months. That would have taken me 2 years to make otherwise if I was using AI. And you can also use it for WebXR. Between the time I made these slides to today, Gemini 3 also has anti-gravity, but also you can use Gemini within your headset. You open Gemini in your browser, and you tell it, hey, I need a WebXR application that does this and this, and it does that. And it's live, and you can iterate within the headset, and you just use your voice to talk to it, and I think we're going to somewhere that's kind of amazing. So I talked about a lot of these tools. How do I choose tools? First, don't have money, so price is obviously a big factor for me, so I try to use open source or free tools, or tools that give me credits for a certain usage, and then I use, ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, you ran out of credit, and then I move to Claude, and then I use that, and then vice versa. Some of these tools have censorship, so if you want to make some games that you want to deal with like subjects or things, you can do. Other tools can work out, but these tools might not have the copyright you need to make a commercial project. So how do you know if you can use a tool or not? You probably want to read the TOS, or just let AI read the TOS for you and ask you, can I do this with this tool? And it's going to tell. For me, another factor is I like to use tools that are fun for me to use because I'm an indie developer, and I don't want to spend my time working on something that I'm going to hate, so that's also a factor. But also, you use the tool and you try this and you try another time and you move to another one until the results are good, because sometimes for specific cases, some of these things work well and some of these things doesn't work well. So sometimes I've got a bug in the code, so I move to another AI or another LLM or another ID, and then that one fixed the bugs, but then it doesn't know how to do the feature, so I'm going to move back to the other one. So what's next? Like 2 weeks ago, I tried to predict what I'm going to say here. Gemini 3 and their new ID, like Google's new ID anti-gravity got announced, so I got to try it. It's pretty good, but I've used something called Kiro in the meantime, which gave me like better results than previous usages of cursor and anti-gravity. I've not tried Bezier yet. I've not tried Gaussian splatting, which is the next thing I'm going to try. Marble from World Labs is something I want to try. I got an invite to something called Moonlake, which can also generate an entire world for you that I'm going to try next. And I also made a trailer for the next game I'm going to work on.
Breathe in, breathe out, relax. Clear your mind, find your inner peace.
We're gonna take over!
No matter what, find stillness, let go of all distractions, focus on your breath. Nothing can disturb your inner sanctuary. Every distraction is an opportunity to deepen your practice.
Mom! Mom! Mommy! Mommy!
Mom,
Mom!
think you can maintain inner peace while I lecture you about discipline?
Can you find Zen while I'm screaming orders in a burning kitchen? You think you can handle meditation extreme, soldier?
Prove it!
Show us!
Meditation. Extreme. Are you tough enough to stay Zen?
Okay, so that's the next game I'm going to work on. I'm looking for funding. If you know an AI tool that can help me find funding, let me know. So finally, I'm going to give you some resources. This is a good article about how to make point-and-click adventure games with AI. Nice. I maintain 2 playlists on YouTube. Every time I see an interesting video about AI, I add it to this playlist. Everybody get it? Great. And then another playlist that's only for like visual AI stuff, which is less maintained nowadays, but I still put some stuff there, like ComfUI or open source stuff for new models. So takeaways. AI is just getting better every day. Everything I talked about in this talk today will not be relevant a year from now. I don't know if it's even going to be relevant a month from now. Who knows? You got to keep up with the latest tools if you want to, be ahead of the curve. I think everybody who's not using AI is probably working slower. The results of AI are getting better. I know there's like some ethics about artists and losing jobs or whatever. There's a long discussion. I'll be happy to have that later. I do a lot of experimentations. I try one tool, I move to another tool until I find something that works, and then there's another tool that comes and I also experiment with that. And again, I'm curious if you could tell in this presentation what was AI generated and what was actually real. This is the actual link to the actual slides, if you actually want to get all the slides. There you are. And there we go. So yeah, that was it. Let's collaborate. Let's do something together. Follow me on, social networks, and that's it. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you so much, Oded, for this really great talk, and it resonates also a lot with me because I also work in game development. I think we are kind of almost over the time, but we have maybe time for one quick question. Does anybody have a question? Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. One question I have is, what criteria do you use when you try out new AI tools? Is it just you try the AI tool and see, okay, this works for what I want to do, or do you have a certain set of criteria, you say, okay, this is kind of like a mini checklist that I use to qualify the AI tool for the purpose that you're looking for?
So I do two things. First, if there's something I know I want to do, I look for the tool for that right job. For example, if I know I need a 3D model, I would maybe research what's the current 3D model. But also I try to keep up with like all the tools in the areas of tools that I need. And then I just I play with them for like a few minutes or like a few hours. And then, that's how I know if it's a tool that will be useful for me, in production or prototyping later on. And then if it doesn't, then I don't come back to it. Or when they make a new version, maybe I'll try it again. Like the IDEs, I tried like 5 different IDEs. The 3D generator tools, I tried like a bunch of them. The video generated tools, I tried a bunch of them. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is the tool I feel the most comfortable. It's the most efficient for me. It's the one, that's, meets all the criteria. And I try and experiment and play with it, yeah.
Thank you so much.